بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين بالقاسم المصطفى محمد أمير وعلى أهل بيت الأطهار الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن أعرض عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا ونحشره يوم القيامة أعمى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this year the year of the reappearance of our beloved Imam Mahdi Ajrullah ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif with the blessing of another loud salawat. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst His companions and His sincere soldiers with the blessing of another loud salawat. Remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and thinking of His reminder, it's something that will help us in our grave and on the day of judgment, and before these two stages of our life in this world. As you know, we have started discussion. The topic of our discussion is death and resurrection. And the reason why we brought this topic is for us to get ready, take advantage of whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in this world in order to have prosperous and tranquil life in barzakh and life after death. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these verses that I will elaborate discusses the importance of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you remember, we talked about Allah on one side, shaitan on the other side. Every day we are in this struggle and striving to see our decision, it's going to go toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or shaitan and nafs. Chapter 20 verse 124, Allah says, but whosoever turns away or disregards my reminder or remembrance, verily for him is a life of hardship. So this life will be hardship, and we shall raise him up blind on the day of resurrection. Allah's remembrance. If you remember, we discussed it that in order for us at the time of ihtidar, at the time that our soul will depart our body, this physical body, and it will attach to body that is compatible with barzakh and that can live the life in barzakh, in that moment, if we had life of 60, 70 years of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that moment also, this remembrance will help us. But if not, if I have forgotten Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the time of decision, I kept saying chash, na'am, yes, see to my nafs, in that moment, my iman doesn't have any strength. My belief doesn't have any strength in order for me to say yes to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being able to say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah and ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Again, but whosoever turns away and or disregard my reminder or remembrance. Remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's something that this month of Ramadan should teach us. This is something that amongst many things that we have to take advantage from this month of Ramadan. One is remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because in this month we were really careful. We didn't want to invalidate our fast. So even things that were halal and permissible for us, we didn't do it. We were cautious. We were God wary. We thought about everything we did. Oh, about to eat. Oh no, I can't eat now. We explained ourselves to our co-worker, relatives, classmates that okay, I cannot eat or drink. Some people think, which is good thinking, but it's not right. They think by them using bad language, their fast, it invalidates. No. Cussing, it's not what invalidates your fasting, but it's better not to do so. That's another level of fasting. The first level of fasting, which everybody majority, if not all the Muslims are involved, is that they don't eat and drink and do any of those acts that invalidate their fasting. But the next level is abstaining one's eye from haram, abstaining one's mouth, not only drinking and eating, rather gossiping, bad mouthing, insulting, and so on and so forth. Abstaining ears from not listening to what they supposed not to listen to. So that's this next level. And there are many other levels of spirituality within the month of Ramadan. So in this month we did practice to be God fit, to fear God and to be aware of Allah's supervision. If I may ask the youth outside, please to join us in. Standing by the door, please join us in. Yes, please join us. Please, let's recite the loud salawat. So remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we did remember Allah more often in the month of Ramadan. So this endeavor of us within this month should continue until the next Ramadan. It shouldn't be that the day of Eid came and passed, this is it. We forgot that every day Allah is watching us. Angels are watching us. Holy Prophet and our beloved Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Faraj Sharif is watching us. This month of Ramadan we did practice it, so we should continue after month of Ramadan. So what is this remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is this reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala where He says, whoever turned away and disregard my reminder and my remembrance? What is this reminder and remembrance? We read it, chapter 15, verse 9. إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Indeed, we have sent down the reminder, and indeed we will preserve it. So the first reminder that Allah has sent for us, for you and I, is the Holy Quran. We read, we learn, we get educated by the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we implement. Allah reminded us, well, see what Prophet Yusuf ala nabina wa alayhi salam, for example, went through. You will go through similar scenarios. Well, see what he did, do what he did. That's a reminder. The nation of Prophet Musa ala nabina wa alayhi salam. Prophet Musa tells them, do something. Okay, just do it. You keep coming asking questions. Why this? How? What color? What age? Will go kill a cow, take a piece of the cow, hit it to the dead person, it will come back alive, and it will tell you who killed it. No, what color, what age, male or female, and so when Allah says something, just do it. And Allah says they did it, وَمَا فَعَلُوا. They didn't do it. Basically, they didn't do what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them to do. When Allah said once, just obey, submit, do it. So the first reminder is the Holy Quran, which, as we mentioned within the first night, said more than 2,000 verses of the Holy Quran talks about our life after death, and ma'ad, and barzakh, and death, and ihtidar. So when we read Quran, we get reminded of death, preparing for death, for life after death. I need to do something for it, what I will go through. So have I turned myself a'rada, disregard, or within the Arabic grammar, when you turn your face from something, they say أَعْرَضَ عَنْهُ. He turned his face. I might not be physically turning away my face, but some people physically, they have nothing to do with Quran. Month of Ramadan finishes, Quran goes on the shelf until next Ramadan. So that's physically turning away from Quran. But also turning away from Quran mentally and spiritually. Quran says, this is what I want you to do. This is the teaching of Allah. This is the reminder. We say, okay, this is a good reminder, but I take what science says. I take what people say. I do what culture say. I do what my friends say. So that is also turning away from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we do that, what Allah says, and for him is a life of hardship. Remember last night we said, if you hold on to the Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam both together, you will not have any problem within this life. This is exactly the verse. If I turn my face away from the Holy Quran, فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَ. For him is a life of hardship. So first, this life. And then, وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. And we shall raise him up blind on the day of resurrection. Turning away from Quran. So in order for me to not turn away and for this verse not to apply to me, I should action plan B, reading Quran on a daily basis, and B, acting upon the teachings of the Holy Quran. So that shows that physically I have not turned away from Quran, abandoning Quran on the shelves for month and month and month, and practically I'm taking lessons from Quran. One very, very important lesson among millions of lessons that are within the Quran. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامٌ. When an ignorant person approaches you and says something that you are not, say something that hurts you, say Salaam alaikum, move on. No, I have to stay here and I have to pay back. I have to defend my right. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامٌ. Salaam alaikum, move on. Shaykh defending my right. What is right? He said something that I always tell the youngsters when I had youth session. If somebody came, for the sake of example, if somebody came to you at school or somewhere, told you, sorry, stupid. Well, if you get angry and you want to punch them back, well, you became what he said you are. You are such and such and such. No, I'm not such and such. No. Just move on. One lesson. How much stress and tension between wife and husband, parents and kids, friends, relatives. This one verse of Quran just came to my mind and I brought as an example of it. If we take verse after verse after verse, which previous action plan was reading 50 verses of the Holy Quran on a daily basis as the Imam have prescribed for us. That's number one. And then we added, take one of those verses, read the translation, and ponder. By next Ramadan, you have been educated by 365 verses of the Holy Quran. That's a lot of verses. Basically, Surah Al-Baqarah completely and the next chapter. So that's one reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which He sent, which is between our hands, that's the Quran. What is the second? Chapter 21, verse 7. See, it says, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِ. Dhikr means remembrance, reminder. Chapter 15 about Quran says, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرِ. Again, remembrance, reminder. Quran. Here, Allah says, chapter 21, verse 7, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And ask the people of the reminder if you do not know. And unanimously, all the Muslims, Shia and non-Shia, says, people of dhikr, Ahlul dhikr, people of reminder, are Muhammad and Al Muhammad, salawat by their names. Both of them together. Fas'alu. I have problem within life, relationship wise, health wise, financial problems, anything. Come to Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Fas'alu. Ask the people of the reminder. Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Shaykh, how can we ask Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam? Well, they already have answered our questions within their ahadith, within their narrations. وصول كافي, تحف العقول, من لا يحضره الفقيه, استبصار, تهذيب, نهج البلاغة, غرر الحكم, you name it. Alhamdulillah, we have enough books of ahadith from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam for us to read from now until our end of our life, another 100 years, and still there are ahadith to read and implement and see how it changes our life and perspective. So these 23 nights, 24 nights, we've been discussing all about verses of Quran, ahadith of Ahlul Bayt, to give us perspective in our life. What should be my goal, which is life after death? Let's continue to Barzakh. How can it be, can we bring an example that people feel pain, suffering, or reward, or punishment, but you and I, we cannot feel it? Yes. If you're sitting next to a person who's sleeping, or you're sleeping, for example, you're sleeping next to your partner, spouse, and suddenly you wake up, see them crying. What happened to you? Oh, I went through this, I saw this weirdest dream, and it was something. They went through it, but you and I, we didn't feel it. We were just sitting next to them. So when we think of the adhab of qabr, the punishment within the grave, or when we talk about the reward, Sheikh, how can this thing be like, I just put him in here. How can this person, what he goes through is exactly what you and I go through when we are sleeping and when we dream. It's not this physical body as we mentioned. It's the soul that goes and sees what he sees and feels what he feels. Insha'Allah reward, and insha'Allah no punishment. So that's an example for you and I to keep in mind, that it is possible. And a hadith of Ahl Bayt and verse of Quran says that the same way that you sleep, you die. So we cannot deny the rewards and the punishment. And this can be a good example if you encounter a discussion with another person who doesn't believe in life after death. How can it happen? Tell him you go through it on an every night basis. Your soul goes someplace, you see things, and the actual physical body is sleeping on a bed. But the soul, you wake up, you're happy, you saw a very, very good dream that you're really, really happy about it, or you saw something that you don't want to see. We go through this process of death and life after death every night. But the difference is, in the morning, Allah bless us another day, we wake up. And for some people, Allah blessed them to take their soul for their next life to begin. We discussed and we did mention many elements, many actions that we can partake in order to have our life in barzakh to be a prosperous life. Adding to it, we mentioned it. I brought the hadith tonight for you and I, for you to be more motivated, for you and I, and for this gathering to be enlightened by this beautiful hadith about a very beautiful action that we can take for us to have a prosperous life after death. And that is by an Abi Ja'far alayhi salam, where Imam says, لو يعلم الناس ما في زيارة قبر الحسين من الفضل لماتوا شوقا. If people knew the reward that Allah has prepared for the person who visits the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they would have died from happiness. لماتوا شوقا. That much that made them eager. Remember, we brought that. Is it possible that some happiness, some amazement make us lose our senses? Yes, we brought the example of the queen of Misr when she told Prophet Yusuf to come out, and they saw her and they start cutting their hands and they didn't feel it because they were amazed by the presence of Yusuf. So, لو يعلم, if people knew what are the rewards that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for the visitation of the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala, لَمَاتُوا شَوْقًا, they would have died from happiness. وَتَقَطَّعَتْ أَنفُسُهُمْ عَلَيْهِ حَسَرَاتٍ, their soul would have departed if they would have seen the reward that is waiting for a person who visits the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And continues, كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَهُ أَلْفَ حَجَّةٍ, Allah writes for him the reward of 1,000 hajj, مُتَقَبَّلَةٍ, Hajj that has been accepted. Parentheses, Hajj wajib, we must go. Because we always get accused that Shia say, go to Imam Hussein, you don't have to go to Hajj. No. Hajj wajib, when the Hajj becomes wajib on you and I, we must go to Hajj. Nothing replaces. But until now, for example, I haven't been able to go to Hajj, I haven't been capable to go. Financially, I cannot afford it yet. Well, every time that I visit the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, 1,000 Hajj that has been accepted. Story goes that Imam asks one of his companions, you see how many people are doing Hajj? He said, yes, thousands and thousands of people. Imam said, only few people are doing it. He said, Imam, look at thousands and thousands of people doing Hajj. Imam opened his fingers like, look, see. He saw people, majority of them like animals. Only handful of people that were righteous people doing true Hajj. Because what intention they came, if they know the rituals of Hajj, or they don't know, if they have wilayah of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam, or they don't know. So Imam says, كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَهُ أَلْفَ حَجَّةٍ مُتَقَبَّلَةٍ, 1,000 Hajj that has been accepted. وَأَلْفَ عُمْرَةٍ مَبْرُورَةٍ, and also Umrah. وَأَجْرُ أَلْفِ شَهِيدٍ, he will get the reward of 1,000 shaheed, 1,000 murder. From what? مِنْ شُهَدَاءِ بَدْرٍ مِنْ شُهَدَاءِ بَدْرٍ, those people who died alongside the hand of Rasulullah, defending the religion of Islam and Rasulullah, Allah will give him 1,000 reward of those people. And rewards of Alfa Sa'im, 1,000 and continues. Well, I want to get to the grave. It's a lengthy hadith. فَإِن مَاتَ سَنَتَهُ, if he dies within that 1 year. If you visited Imam Hussein alayhi salam this year, within this year you passed away, you died. فَإِن مَاتَ سَنَتَهُ حَضَرَتْهُ مَلَائِكَةُ الرَّحْمَةِ, if he dies within 1 year from visiting the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, angels of Allah's mercy will come to him. يَحْضُرُونَ غُسْلَهُ, they will come when they are doing ghusl of mayyit. وَأَكْفَانَهُ, and when they will be present when they are shrouding him. وَالْإِسْتِغْفَارَ لَهُ, and they will do istighfar for him. وَيُشَيِّعُونَهُ إِلَىٰ قَبْرِهِ, and they will do tashyi' until he gets to his grave. بِالْإِسْتِغْفَار, they keep doing istighfar for the person who visited Imam Hussein and he died within that 1 year. وَيُفْسَحُ لَهُ فِي قَبْرِهِ مَدَّ بَصَرِهِ, and his grave, not the actual grave which we discussed it, for his soul it will be wide open as much as his sight can see. وَيُؤْمِنُهُ اللَّهُ مِنْ ضَغْطَةِ الْقَبْرِ, and Allah will secure him from the squeeze within the grave. وَمِنْ مُنْكَرٍ وَنَكِيرٍ, and he will be saved and rescued from the question of munkar and nakir. وَيُفْتَحْ لَهُ بَابٌ إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ, and the door to heaven will be open for him. وَيُعْطَى كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ, his book of deed will be given to his right hand. وَيَعْطَى لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ نُورًا, Allah will give him a light on the day of judgment. يُضِيءُ لِنُورِهِ مَا بَيْنَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ, this light enlightens between the east and the west. وَيُنَادِي مُنَادٍ هَذَا مَنْ زَارَ الْحُسَيْنِ, somebody will announce, this is the person who has visited Imam Hussein alayhi salam, شَوْقًا إِلَيْهِ, because he loved visiting Imam Hussein. فَلَا يَبْقَى أَحَدٌ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِلَّا تَمَنَّى يَوْمَئِذٍ أَنَّهُ كَانَ مِنْ زَوَّارِ الْحُسَيْنِ, nobody will be on the day of judgment unless they will regret, they will wish that we would have done ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam in their life. Let's have salawat by the Imam Hussein. Again, as we mentioned, the do's and the don'ts are already there. What can we do to prepare our grave and our life in barzakh, which we don't know how many thousands of years it will be? The rewards have been given. Do this. Visit the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and if you die, why Imam says within that 1 year? What is he trying to do? You've seen numerous narrations. Imams keep pushing people, keep going into do ziyarah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Keep going. Okay, I did this 1 year, okay, alhamdulillah. Let me go the next year. Let me go the next year. Let me go the next year. On and on and on. This hadith is in book Kamil al-Ziyarat, page 143. We talked about shaheed last night. Dying as a shaheed and the reward as a martyr a person gets. And as we discussed that, how can we become shaheed? There is no ISIS for us to go fight right now, for example, in Iraq. No, I'll give you beautiful hadith. Man mata minkum ala firashih. Any one of you who dies on his bed while he's sleeping. وهو على معرفة حق ربه. He knows the rights that Allah has on his or her shoulder. The rights that we have toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As far as salah, obedience, submission, fasting, i'tiqadat, belief, morality that Allah has placed upon our shoulder. Number one, وَحَقِّ رَسُولِهِ, and the right that Rasulullah has upon you and my shoulder. وَأَهْلِ بَيْتِهِ, and the right and responsibility that Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam have upon you and my shoulder. مَاتَ شَهِيدًا, he or she dies as a shaheed. وَوَقَعَ أَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ, his reward is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَاسْتَوْجَبَ ثَوَابَ مَا نَوَى مِنْ صَالِحِ عَمَلِهِ, and Allah will reward him. It is wajib upon Allah to reward him for any good intention that he or she had. Good intention. Every time that I drive by this Backlake Road, you've seen this building, not next to us, like a block away from us. After traffic light, on the left, there's a huge building, 10, 15 floor, and almost 2,500 parkings behind it. Every time that I pass by, I say, well, Allah, bless me, give me money, opportunity to get this place as our mosque. Make the intention. Niyyah. Niyyatu amal al-khair. You have the intention of doing something good. Even if you didn't do it, Allah gives you the reward. Have the intention. Every day, how many intentions we can have? Millions. When we read in Dua Abu Hamza al-Thamali, oh Allah, extract and eradicate love of this world from my heart so my intention can be about akhirah. But when I have love of this world, for the sake of this world, in my mind and in my intention, in my heart, I don't think about akhirah. Every day make intention in the morning. Oh Allah, I want to introduce Islam and Ahl Bayt alayhim salam to all 350 million American. To all the people in the world, I want to introduce them. Give me this opportunity. Give me the blessing. Oh Allah, give me billions and billions of dollars. I wish I had billions and billions of dollars to spend for your sake and the cause of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. Oh Allah, give me energy to do whatever is right thing to do. Oh Allah, just have the intention. وَاسْتَوْجَبَ ثَوَابَ مَا نَوَى مِنْ صَالِحِ عَمَلِهِ. You made the intention for the right deeds. Oh Allah, give me blessing. Bless me for my prayers to be on time. Oh Allah, bless me to be having good demeanor within my household with my wife or husband or brother or sister or relatives or co-worker. Oh Allah, bless me. I want to be that righteous person. Allah gives us based on our intention. I called my son. I've heard that he's been troublemaker. The second one, he said that I went to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and I hold the shrine. I said, I really want to be a good guy. I want to be a good kid. Well, that intention counts. I told him, you're very good, which I've heard from his mom what he has done already. But his intention was to do something good. Niyatul mar'i khayrun min amaleh. The intention of a person is better than his amal. Why? Because amal, when it comes to existence, show off can be involved in it. Doing for other people can be involved in it. Trying to get appreciated by other people can get involved in it. And is limited. For example, amal is this much. I can come and help and serve this community 5, 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours. But intention doesn't have a limit. Allah give me the wealth of this world so I can spread the knowledge of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. Doesn't have limits. Doesn't have time. No, infinite. Let's continue in Barzakh. In Barzakh, as we mentioned, our a'mal at the time of our death stops. But our knowledge and ma'rifah doesn't stop growing and developing. Follow me. In our grave, in our barzakh, not the actual grave, in barzakh, as we have mentioned, that our soul, insha'Allah, will go to Wadi Salam. Say, insha'Allah. May Allah bless those who want their soul to be. Let's say, insha'Allah. When our soul goes to Wadi Salam, insha'Allah, our ma'rifah and gaining knowledge and being elevated spiritually doesn't stop. It elevates, but is not with our action. Because our action, as soon as we die, we can't do anything else, action-wise. So how does our ma'rifah increases? How do our knowledge and spirituality increases? With whatever we did in this world and we left it as an investment. As we mentioned, if I have waladun salih, if I have raised a good child, whatever that good child does, act of kindness and righteous, my level of spirituality in barzakh increases. And if I have somebody that does something wrong, I have a child that I didn't spend time with him or her to raise a good child, any sin that they commit decreases my level in barzakh. Very careful. When I see the parents that they don't pay attention to their kids and they're just only worrying about their worldly affairs, I see that the mindset has shifted from akhirah to this world. Spirituality and barzakh increases based on what we have left. I build a masjid, I publish a book, Every time a person gets that book and reads it, I get the thawab. Increase. What we do in tashahhud, وَارْفَعْ دَرَجَتَهُ. We say, oh Allah, Rasulullah's darajah, increase it, because Allah's levels is infinite, as He is. So we want keep elevation. You and I also, we can be elevated. Based on what? Based on what we did here and we left for us to get the reward. Keep getting and keep getting and keep getting. How can that happen? Not with our a'mal, rather what we have left behind. Give you a story. There was a person by the name of Sayyid Ali al-Fali. Those who speak Arabic, they have heard of his brother's name, Said Baqir al-Fali. He's a famous speaker. He's alive, Said Baqir. He is in Kuwait, in Iran, in Karbala. He lectures. Very famous speaker. His brother, older brother by the name of Said Ali al-Fali. He was known in this world to be helping anyone that come to him for help. Very respectful scholar, righteous person. He would help anybody who comes to him, says, I need help, he would help him. Physical help, financial help, reputation wise, anything that he can do for people. They knew that if you have a problem, that's the first person came to your mind. Said Ali al-Fadi. Go and he will do whatever he can to help you. He will not leave you get upset. He will grant your need, whatever that he can do. Based on these dreams, 1, 2, 3, 4, we see that, well, same thing people that they used to do in this life, that continues in barzakh for them to be elevated. They saw Said Ali al-Fadi in a dream. One of his relatives, which is also a respectful scholar, they told him, Said Ali al-Fadi, what do you do in barzakh? He said, Allah has given me so much rewards and blessings. I go to these poor Shia that they come here, these believers, they don't have thawab and reward. I share my reward and thawab that Allah has given me. I share it with them. Allah keeps giving me for whatever. He was one of the one who established Husayniyah, big Husayniyah in Qom. Every day that people go and attend that Husayniyah, he gets a thawab. He said, I have a lot of thawab. I see these poor people come, believers come, they don't have. I keep giving and giving and giving. Whatever he did in this world, it's continue giving him reward in life. They saw a scholar, they told him, what are you doing? He said, every week, 2 times I'm teaching to the believers, I'm teaching Usul Kafi, the book of Hadith. Believers get together, remember we talked about it, that in verses of Quran and Ahadith of Ahl Bayt, that believers get together and they have a gathering. The same way that we have gathering, inshallah we will have this gathering in Barzakh, inshallah. Finding out when he woke up and came and read the life of this scholar, finding out that in this life, 5 days he would teach fiqh and ahkam and akhlaq and so other things. 2 days he was teaching ahadith of Ahl Bayt from Usul Kafi. He is continuing doing the same thing. Being elevated. There's a hadith, beautiful hadith, which backs is also in, this is in Tafsir al-Qummi and Usul Kafi. سمعت موسى بن جعفر يقول لرجل أتحب البقاء في الدنيا. Imam Kadhim alayhi salam asked a person, do you like to stay in this world? فقال نعم, yes. Why? If they would have asked me, because I want to get bigger house, better car, better life, go travel around the world, financial. Why? ولما? Imam asked him, why do you want to stay in this world? قال لقراءة قل هو الله أحد. Because I want to stay here and recite Surah Tawheed. Because I know the amount of reward that a person gets by reciting Surah Tawheed. فسكت عنه فقال له بعد ساعة. Imam quieted. And then he continued after a time. يا حفص, that person's name was Hafs. من مات من أوليائنا. Anybody, inshallah, who are from the awliya of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam, inshallah. Any of our awliya, any of our followers, if he passes, وَشِيعَتِنَا, inshallah we are from the Shia. وَلَمْ يُحْسِنِ الْقُرْآنِ. He or she wasn't able to read Quran perfectly. They tried, they were from our Shia. So remember, Shia, saying Shia comes with, it's not that, okay, I call myself Shia. No, it comes with actions, comes with teachings of Ahl Bayt, following it. Okay, now let me just continue finishing with this. I was about to open a parenthesis. Just let me open actually. Person came after a long story asking Fatima Zahra, who is your Shia? She said, if you do what we told you to do and you avoided what we told you to avoid, then you are from our Shia. If not, you are not. So that is the definition of Shia. Doing what Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam told us to do and avoiding what they told us not to do and avoid and abstain. فإن يا حفص من مات من أوليائنا وشيعتنا ولم يحسن القرآن, and he couldn't read Quran perfectly, علم في قبره ليرفع الله به من درجته. In his grave, in his barzakh, he will be taught Quran. Why? For Allah to elevate him. Because he tried to be good, righteous person in this world. Allah wants him to be elevated. فَإِنَّ دَرَجَاتِ الْجَنَّةِ, the levels of heaven, عَلَى قَدْرِ آيَاتِ الْقُرْآنِ. As many verses of the Quran that we have, that's how many levels within heaven exist. يُقَال لَهُ اقْرَأ وَرْقَ. Read one verse and go one level. Read one verse and go one level. So Allah wants this person who was in this life Shia of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, believer and the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, in their teaching, for him to be elevated. That's why in Barzakh he will be taught Quran. So based on his understanding of Quran, he can be elevated. So in Barzakh we still have time to be elevated. What happens to the kids? Kids who have not reached the age of puberty, maturity, bulugh. Tafsir al-Qummi. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says, إن أطفال شيعتنا من المؤمنين تربيهم فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. Salawat by her name. Kids who die from the lovers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam will be taught by Fatima al-Zahra for them to be elevated. And according to another hadith, Prophet Ibrahim ala nabina wa alayhi salam, when Rasulullah ascended to heaven, he saw under a tree Prophet Ibrahim ala nabina wa alayhi salam and Sarah, his wife, are sitting, and there are a lot of kids around them. He asked, who are these kids? They said these are the kids of the lovers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, either the one that were miscarried or the babies who died before the age of maturity, are being taught by one narration, Fatima al-Zahra, or the other narration by Prophet Ibrahim and Sarah. So in Barzakh, whatever we leave behind in this life will help us. It is for us to be elevated and elevated and elevated, unless we have done something in this world. Unless we have placed our thumbprint in this life rather than just coming and going. No, I did something. I left something behind as a continuous charity. I guided a person. I introduced a person to a book. I did something, whatever. That after my departure, I keep getting reward, and for me to be elevated and elevated. And for some people, some believers, as we read, Barzakh will be the time of punishment for them. Why? For those believers, if you remember, for those believers who abused and wasted Allah's blessing, the time of Barzakh will be the time of purification. Why? So when they come to the day of judgment, no more sin is there. But they were from the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. They had the wilayah of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in their heart, and they tried their best not to abandon Quran, dhikr, and fas'alu Ahl al-dhikr and Ahlul Bayt. They tried their best, but they had something here or there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the blessing of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, will cleanse them either through the agony of death or at the time of Barzakh, for them to be purified on the day of judgment, insha'Allah, to enter heaven. Say insha'Allah. Insha'Allah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum wal ana'da'ahum. Let us recite a loud salawat.